Welcome into the Alabama Football Report. It is finally game day, guys. We have been waiting for this day for so long. No more Nick Saban at the helm for Alabama this year. A new coach will be taking the Crimson Tide to the promised land, hopefully at the end of the season. That is Kalen DeBoer. We're going to be breaking down the preview for the Western Kentucky game today. And just, all the different things you could see in that game, things we're looking for as well. And that means we will be going live today, an hour before kickoff. So that will be 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have a lot of fun during our Alabama watch party and many more to come this season. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Turn those notifications on. Do not miss out. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight for the Alabama Crimson Tide. First things first, Alabama kicking off first night game of the season, a 6 p.m. Central Time kickoff. And look, guys, it is against Western Kentucky, so not going to be, the best competition for Alabama. But I do think it, is a solid team to go up against. They're able to push the ball downfield, so it gives us a chance to see what this secondary can do. A lot of, position battles going on at that cornerback position as well. So I think a very solid team to start off the year for Alabama in their first game. The total over-under in this game, 59.5. It's got to be a lot of points scored if you want to go with the over on that one. And Alabama also opening up as a 31.5-point favorite in this game. So you know what they say, guys. Good teams win, but great teams cover the spread. I think Alabama can absolutely cover the spread in this game. That's the most you would like to see is them to go out there and really solidify themselves as one of the best offensive teams in the country this year with Jalen Milroe at the helm running this new system of Kalen DeBoer's. I think Alabama's got it. If you want Alabama to cover the spread, make sure you like today's video for me right now. So a familiar face for Western Kentucky at that quarterback position, TJ Finley, a guy that we have seen before. I've seen him twice, actually, before against Alabama. Both times taking the L against the Crimson Tide back in 2021 when he was with the Auburn Tigers, and then his freshman year when he was at LSU in 2020. Look, TJ Finley's not the best quarterback out there, but he has gotten better in his career. The first two games against Alabama, both at LSU and Auburn, look, just not very good for TJ Finley at the end of the day. Alabama was able to really get to him, negative yards on the ground. He got sacked a lot in both games and wasn't able to really push the ball downfield at all for them. But look, TJ Finley has gotten better. I think the biggest thing that Alabama needs to do to really get after him is they need to put the pressure on him, and I think they can absolutely do that in this game. So let me know the first opportunity to get in the comment section. How many sacks does Alabama have against TJ Finley and Western Kentucky today? Let me know in the comment section of today's video. It is the pinned comment, so if that ad comes here on YouTube, it's probably going to. That's totally fine. You can ignore it. Get down there and predict how many sacks Alabama will have today. Like I said, TJ Finley has gotten better as a quarterback. Last year at Texas State, 67.4% completion percentage, over 3,000 passing yards. That touchdowns to interception ratio also got a little bit better in his time last year. He was just able to push the ball downfield for them as well. And there is some familiarity with TJ Finley and Alabama's defensive coordinator, Kane Womack. They played against each other last year versus South Alabama. Last year, 2023, played pretty good. I mean, let's just call it like it is. 3 touchdowns, pretty solid completion percentage there, almost 400 yards passing. Did have 1 interception, but I think what Alabama needs to do in this game, like I said just a minute ago, is they need to get pressure on TJ Finley, and they need to be able to do it fast. Alabama's defensive line, I think you've got some solid guys, man. I think Tim Keenan is a guy that's really going to step up this year and be really, really good for you. I think he's a really big guy, but he's really quick and he's really squirrely. I think he's going to, have some trouble for those opposing offensive lines. And I think Jamarian Latham and LT Overton at that bandit position can really put some pressure on some quarterbacks this year. There's been a lot of hype in the fall about LT Overton in particular. So I think there's a chance you might see him in there more on those passing downs. Maybe Jamarian Latham in there on some run downs. But there is also just a bunch of different packages that Kane Womack has kind of hinted to that Alabama, can possibly put out there against, different situations. And I think this linebacker core for Alabama is going to be really solid as well. Deontay Lawson, Jahad Campbell, both coming back this year for the Crimson Tide. Look, both of these guys are going to be really, really solid starters for you. I also think Justin Jefferson has the opportunity to, really make a name for himself this year. And who knows, maybe in a game like this, you could also see a guy like Justin Okoronkwo get some run because Jeremiah Alexander is a little bit banged up right now. I'm also super excited to see what that Wolf position can do for Alabama. Q-Rob, Quandarius Robinson, has been in the program for a long time, but really hasn't been able to contribute in those meaningful times for Alabama. On the defensive side of the ball, he's played plenty of special teams, but hasn't really been able to get there on the field on defense. I also think Keanu Coate is a guy who can also play a meaningful role for Alabama and get some pressure on those opposing quarterbacks. We want to give a shout out to our sponsor today. That is Factor Meals. Guys, look, with football season starting, sometimes we don't get out of here till super, super late. I'm going to be out of here super late today with our Alabama watch party. So that means I don't have time to cook when I get home. And Factor Meals just makes it super, super easy for me to be able to get a nutritious meal in me for dinner, lunch, whatever you guys want. That's why I use Factor Meals, no prep, no mess meals with your fitness goals, thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. No matter how busy you are, you will always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart your new health routine. What are you guys waiting for? With 35 different meals that you can choose from and more than 60 different add-ons to choose from every single week, you will always have new flavors to explore. You can crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you guys can trust. Head to factormeals.com/BamaChat50 and use promo code BamaChat50 to get 50% off your first month's box and 20% off your next month as well. That's code BamaChat50 at factormeals.com/BamaChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. Guys, I love Factor. You should too. Jumping over to some of the offensive playmakers for the Crimson Tide. Look, I think these guys are pretty much the guys that we've been talking about this entire offseason, and you got a lot of them. Jalen Milroe coming back for his second season as the starting quarterback for the Crimson Tide. Look, I love Jalen Milroe so much. He's one of my favorite players on this team. He is a leader. He is going to be your starting quarterback this year, whether some of you guys like it or not. I mean, there's still been a lot of negatives about Jalen Milroe, but look, he's the quarterback, guys. You're going to have to get over it. Jam Miller, Justice Haynes, two of the best running backs in college football, I think, this year. I think one of the best duos put together. They're going to be really electric for you. And then I think the three top wide receivers for you are going to be Germie Bernard, Kendrick Law, and Kobe Prentice. I like what all three of those guys have given you in the past. I don't think they've really utilized Kendrick Law in the past as well as they're going to this year. And Germie Bernard, look, last year, for Washington, he was their number 5 receiver in terms of receiving yards, and just being able to come in here to Alabama really helps you replace a guy like Isaiah Bond. But, what Coach Shep said the other day was this Alabama receiving corps is, very fresh. They don't have a lot of snaps under their belt. Kobe Prentice, 454 snaps, that's okay in 2 years, I think, but really hasn't been able to grow in total as a pass catcher. Kendrick Law has played a decent amount, 431 snaps, but like I said, they haven't been able to get him the ball, and which has just been a shame because this is a guy who can be an electric playmaker for you when he's got the ball in his hands. And he can do a lot of different things. He can line up in the backfield. He can line up in the slot. He can line up outside. There's a lot of different things that Kendrick Law can do for you. And then I'm really excited to see what Emmanuel Henderson can do. Only 53 total snaps on the offensive side of the ball. But, man, he's a guy that once he really, finds his way, I think he's really going to contribute a lot for Alabama some way, somehow. I think this wide receiver group is probably 6 or 7 deep. Alabama's got a lot of guys that they need to be able to get the ball this season. So let me know in the comments section, guys, who will lead Alabama in receiving yards this season. You got a lot of names to choose from. Personally, me, I think Germie Bernard is probably going to be that guy, but you also have a lot of notable young freshmen coming in that have a lot of hype around them. So, there could be a lot of guys who can, be named for this question. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section right now. I think the most notable thing about this game is the fact that it is Kalen DeBoer's first game as Alabama's head coach. No more Nick Saban. And, we have been asking this question for a long time. What is it going to look like when Nick Saban eventually retires? Who is going to be the guy that takes over for Nick Saban? There was a lot of questions about nobody wants to take over for the GOAT. I think you got the right guy, and I think you got the right mentality in a head coach to be able to come in after everything that Nick Saban was able to give you the last, 17 seasons with Alabama. 3 things that I want to monitor in this game and even, down the road in a couple games. What is the mentality like? I want teams to fear playing Alabama again. It has been a couple years, probably at least since 2020, since the last time we won the national championship, that really teams, feared Alabama. The defensive side of the ball has been kind of up and down. I think last year they were a little bit better than they were the previous couple of years, but still not really to the quality that you saw, in the years before that with Nick Saban as well. This offensive line, they talked a big game the last 2-3 years that they were going to be able to run the ball, smash mouth football. And at the end of the day, every single time you had a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, you're supposed to be able to run the ball to get that first down. You weren't really able to do it consistently. So those are some big things. I want people to be scared to play Alabama again because it's been a couple of years since that's really been the case. I think there's also a lot of young players on this team as well that can really contribute to Alabama this year. Some of the most notable ones, Caleb Odom, the number 2 tight end coming in last year's class, transfers over to the wide receiver position. He's a big body guy that I think Alabama can use in, maybe some of those 3rd down, got to get that first down passing scenarios and in the red zone as well. I think Ryan Williams, the hype has been there for Ryan Williams, right? We've all been talking about him. We've all been, hearing about some of the splash plays that he's been making in practice and in those scrimmages and stuff. So I can't wait to see, it's not a if with those 2 guys. It's really more of a when. I would assume they probably, at least in the second half, get some opportunity. I would love to see him in the first half, but I think they're going to let some of those, more veteran guys get those reps in the first half. If Alabama can get a lead, maybe they can get out there, and play some more in the second half. And also, you got a guy like Xavier Brown as well, battling at that cornerback position with Deshaun Jones, which brings us to the 3rd thing to monitor is those position battles. I think the most notable one on the offensive side of the ball is that right tackle position. You got Wilkin Formby versus Elijah Pritchett. Both guys are going to play in this game today, and I think there's a very good chance both guys look good. I don't think that, you're going to come out with a winner in this game, but I would like to see both of those guys, really go forward and take that next step to be good on that offensive side of the ball. You got that position battle at the cornerback spot. Look, Kane Womack said that we were going to see multiple corners play in this game. How many? I don't necessarily know. I think it could possibly be up to 5 different corners, depending, if Alabama's able to get a lead and stretch the lead and able to work some of those guys in there. I think Damani Jackson's definitely one of those guys. Who's going to be the other one? I think it's going to be Deshaun Jones. I think Xavier Brown is also going to get in there and play, some meaningful snaps alongside Damani Jackson. You also have other guys too, like Zay Mincy, Jalen Mbakwe, Jahlil Hurley. There's a lot of guys really vying for a starting spot at that cornerback position. And I can't wait to see what they do because at the end of the day, I don't care who plays. I just want the best player to play. I will say, though, I don't think you're really going to get anything settled out of today's game. I think, you could possibly see a lot of positive things from this game to take away from. There might even be some negative things that you can take away from this game as well. But I don't think any of these position battles are really going to get settled. I also had one in there, Wolf ? Bandit ? I don't think those are necessarily position battles, but I do think that there is a chance that you see a number of those guys on the field at different times in different situations. And, whether that's a 3rd and long, you get 2 Wolves out there to take the Bandit off the field. I think there's a lot of fun things that Kane Womack is going to be able to do with this defense. So my final score prediction for this game, I've got Alabama winning it 42-14 against Western Kentucky. Look, I think they go out there. I think they're able to get pressure on TJ Finley. And I also think they're going to be able to get some turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. And that's one of the biggest things for me is I think with Western Kentucky pushing the ball downfield, that's what they like to do. I would love to see some of these DBs, whether that's Devontae Smith, whether that's Malachi Moore, Keon Sabb, or those 2 to 5 corners, whoever's playing in the game. I would love to see somebody, really get after the ball, make some aggressive plays on the ball and end up getting some turnovers to help the Crimson Tide offense as well. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments section. Again, predict the score for me right now, Alabama versus Western Kentucky. Like I said, I think Alabama wins in a blowout, but we'll see. Let me know your prediction in the comments section right now. Last thing before we go, a couple notable time differences coming up from last year and the previous years to this year. The Walk of Champions, if you are going to the game today, that's going to start at 3:30, 2.5 hours before kickoff. Before it was, sooner to kick off, it's going to be a whole lot sooner than that now. So just be prepared for that. Get there even earlier. It is going to be packed. It is very hard to get a spot, along the fence at the Walk of Champions. So get there super, super early. The gates will open at 4 p.m. Central Time. And then, of course, you've got kickoff at 6 o'clock. We will be live at 5 o'clock. So you guys come hang out with us. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Can't wait to see you there, and roll Tide.